Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside the Force. Thanks for joining me. This is episode 351 and got a lot of notes to go through here. I was typing them up earlier and got a lot of little things just to go over, and then of course run through what upcoming releases, and then talk a little bit about Obi-Wan some more because that trailer is still fresh in my head. Got a lot of little rumors and tidbits coming out there, so I want to talk a little bit more about that. So we'll get into that till a little bit later. But first off, gotta say something that I actually didn't think I'd ever say on this, but I am actually, for Inside the Force, launching a Patreon for the podcast. And I say that I never thought I'd say that is because I never actually thought about ever doing one. Ever since I've been doing podcasts, which has been a long time. This show is nearly 9 years old. It's actually 9 years old. Oh my gosh, it is 9 years old on this episode, actually. I didn't even realize that. On this date, March 25th, on this release date, we released our first episode in 2013. So that was 9 years ago. So happy anniversary to us. Thank you. So 9 years ago, when we started this thing, I had already been podcasting before that. So I believe we started podcasting with our film company in 2006 or something like that, 2007. Really at the beginning stages of podcasting, when it was really just something that was on Apple, I believe, and nothing else. And it was just very, very small. You couldn't even find hardly anything. People were really just starting it out. So kudos to one of my partners, Russell Johnson, who started the thing, and he got us into it, and what can I say? I've been doing it ever since, and it's something I really enjoy. I really enjoy talking about things that I love doing. At the time, it was really big filmmaking. I'm a big film lover. We were making our own content, so it just made sense that we would sit down and talk about it. And of course, we were able to geek out and talk Star Wars and DC and Marvel and all this stuff. But, around 2012, I think it was 2012 when Disney bought Lucasfilm, I thought, well, let's do a show that's just dedicated to Star Wars, because we're going to start getting all this new Star Wars content, not really knowing that they would end up having their own Disney Plus series, streaming service, that had a bunch of original content on there, original Star Wars stuff, all those movies that we were getting, animation shows, blah, blah, blah. So a unified canon with all these books and comics. So obviously we have a ton to talk about. So anyway, long story short, 9 years running now. Patreon has grown, and, I've always been kind of just weirded out about, getting money for this, to be honest, and especially getting money for talking Star Wars, just because, for one, I don't own Star Wars. None of us do. So I'm a little weirded out by that. So I hopefully I made if anybody at all wants to, obviously it doesn't really bother me either way, but it would allow me to, reward people that have listened to me and the show and everybody that's been on it with additional content, and mainly exclusive content just for you guys. So, look, if nobody signs up, then I'm not going to do any of that stuff. But if everybody does, then I will. And, I want to be able to give back to and give a bunch of merchandise to you guys and interact more with you guys. And who knows, I don't plan on, kind of side note, I don't plan on, I don't know how I don't even know how Patreon really works, to be honest. I know you get people to give you money, and then Patreon takes a cut, and then you get some. I mean, whatever that ends up being, I again, I do the show in a way. It doesn't matter what it costs for me, to be honest, because it's minimum, to be honest. So, I'd rather just hang on to that and then help you guys and get you guys some other stuff. I don't know. I'll figure it out as we go. But hey, like I said, no one signs up. No big deal. But there is a Patreon out there now. So you can get to it on the website. You can get to it at the YouTube channel, and it's patreon.com/Inside the Force. Go check it out. And if you love to hear comments back, honestly, if you what you guys think about it, or if you guys think I should maybe change the tiers up a little bit, I don't know, whatever. I just kind of took me a couple days to kind of put that out there, and anyway, it's out there. So just wanted to mention that, and let's move on from there. First thing up, I wanted to mention news-wise. As I mentioned in the last show, and you guys I'm sure have been following, there's been a ton of stuff coming out from the Galactic Starcruiser, right? The new Disney/Star Wars experience down there in Orlando. And they have been putting out several videos called the Halcyon videos. And, all right, actually, that's in my notes. I don't think it's called that, actually. But, I'll tell you in a second. I had it right here. It's called the Halcyon, or Dispatches from the Halcyon. That's what it's called. And they've got videos out there kind of highlighting, different aspects of it. So the first one they put out was for basically the story, which tells, it is an experience for everybody that goes on this thing, but there's actually a storyline that's going on, very similar to basically what's happening in Galaxy's Edge. If you ever go to Galaxy's Edge, there's rides and there's shops and there's things to do, but you're in a timeline. You're in the middle of a timeline there, right? So it takes place between episodes 8 and 9. So the Resistance is there. Their base is there. Basically, you're wandering around on their base during this time period. So, and characters like Vi Moradi are going around trying to recruit people to the Resistance. And of course, Kylo Ren and the First Order are walking around trying to find Resistance sympathizers. So there is a storyline going on all over the place around you in Galaxy's Edge. Same thing that's going on here. There's actually a storyline that's happening as you're on this ship, this cruise ship. Again, it takes place between 8 and 9 around that time. So they've got a video called The Story. They got a video out there called Meet the Characters, and they got one called Activities. So you can really watch those if you go to StarWars.com or go to the YouTube channel on Star Wars. You could watch these 3 videos that they have out there right now and get a real good sense of what you're going to see, what you're going to experience, what's happening on the Halcyon, things like that. So not bad. You should go check that out. It could actually get you more excited or actually turn you off more and not go. Just been seeing a ton about the pricing. And I get it. I think it is pretty expensive. So, but again, that's one of them things like, this whole Patreon thing. We get a good run going, then let's get a trip going for some of us. So anyway, just sidebar, no, nothing guaranteed. Moving on from there. So again, Halcyon videos, go watch that if you want to get a better sense of what Galaxy's Edge and the Starcruiser is all about. Let's see. Interesting enough here as far as additional stories, canon stories, because, right now you're getting, on the publishing side, you got comics and novels and junior novels and all kinds of levels of novels. Now, Star Wars Insider, the magazine, something I haven't talked about in a long time, and it's been a while since I've actually flipped my fingers through one of those magazines, even digitally. But they do come out, and they're actually, it's got great content in it. I remember when the whole unified canon got introduced. One of the first canon stories that came out was actually in Star Wars Insider. They did a thing called Blue Squadron, which followed the Blue Squadron. I believe the story centered around the Battle of Endor. I could be wrong about that. That was several years ago. But occasionally they would pop up in there, a canon story here and there, a short story. Well, apparently the news is right now they're about to start with several more, I think 4 more short stories that are going to show up in Star Wars Insider magazine, if you guys are interested or getting those. The first one's going to be about Zam Wessel. If everybody remember her. She was that changeling in episode 2 that nearly assassinated Padme. Jango ended up killing her. So this short story has a Jango and Zam Wessel story together, obviously prior to episode 2. Another story they're doing is around General Grievous. Another one with Dexter Jetster, the restaurant owner that Obi-Wan goes and sees. And then one on Mace Windu, actually. And no, it's not post episode 3 Mace Windu, like everybody's waiting to see. But it is pre Clone Wars, I believe. So those are the stories that are coming out Insider, if you guys want to go check those out. Another story that's coming out in comic form, it's not technically new as far as I can tell, but Chrysanthemum, Black Chrysanthemum that we saw make his live-action debut in the Book of Boba Fett, he was actually debuted in the comic books, and Marvel is putting out Chrysanthemum Star Wars Tales #1, and again, I don't believe it's anything new. What I'm seeing is that it's a collection of the issues that he pops up in, that he's been popping up in over the last few years, namely in Star Wars and then in Dr. Aphra. So I believe this is just a collection of those stories and put into a comic book. According to Obi-Wan's journals, Obi-Wan actually has a run-in with Black Chrysanthemum at some point. So that story's in there. That's pretty cool. We're also going to be covering that on Beyond the Saga when we get closer to the Obi-Wan premiere. We're going to talk about his collection of comics stories called From the Journals of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that's going to be cool. And then, like I said, one of those stories is with Black Chrysanthemum. So look for that here, probably in May, when we get ready for the Obi-Wan series. Next thing I thought was pretty neat, on StarWars.com, if anybody is interested or hasn't seen them yet, but they put a list together of the 9 essential Cad Bane episodes that you need to be watching or go back and watch. Of course, he made his live-action debut on Book of Boba Fett as well, but he did make his debut in animation form on the Clone Wars. So their first 3 that they're suggesting is the arc in Season 2 of the Clone Wars, Episodes 1, 2, and 3. Awesome arc. It's where he as in Cad Bane, breaks into the Jedi Temple and steals a holocron. So those are great episodes. You've got Season 3, Episode 8, which is called Evil Plans. He's in that episode. Season 1, Episode 22, Hostage Crisis, which is the one that leads into the Season 2, Episode 1, Holocron Heist. And then you got Season 3, Episode 9, which is the Hunt for Zero. Zero to Hutt's in that one. That's really good. Crisis on Naboo, which is Season 4, Episode 18. And then you get into the Bad Batch, right? So in Bad Batch, we got Cad Bane as well fighting or going up against, first he takes Omega and then finds himself in an episode called Bounty Lost where he's squaring off against Fennec Shand. So awesome episodes. I do want to go back and rewatch. I was going to rewatch Bad Batch before it was going to come back, but that's another story we're going to talk about here in a second. But I have had this hankering to go back and watch Rebels again, so I may do that. And what might motivate me to do that more is actually the Patreon. So that's part of one of the tiers. I might be plugging Patreon more, I guess, than I thought I was this episode. Anyway, 9 Cad Bane episodes. Go check those out. He's part of Clone Wars and Rebels. I'm sorry, not Rebels, Clone Wars and Bad Batch. He could have been in Rebels, I guess, now that we've seen him after that. I definitely don't think we've seen the last of Cad Bane. Did he die in Book of Boba Fett? I do believe he died, but we will see. Never know. Star Wars Celebration. Talked about that last episode. This time, just a brief announcement of guests that are going to be coming to Star Wars Celebration at the end of May. Ashley Eckstein has confirmed. Anthony Daniels, of course, has confirmed. And the Emperor himself, Ian McDermott, will be there as well. So a lot more I'm sure will come. And announcements will be coming for that here soon. Again, I am not going to Celebration this year. First time I won't be at Celebration for a long time. Man, 2000 Celebration 2 was the last one I didn't attend, which was in 2002, I believe. 2005 was Celebration 3. That's when I started going to them. Been to every one of them since and will not be able to make this one. So, because it's funny because I'm actually going out there to Anaheim about 2 weeks later and going to Disneyland with my family. So, gonna miss Star Wars Celebration. But have fun, everybody. I will be glued to my computer, though, watching everything revealed. Because another thing that's news-wise with Celebration is pretty much almost guaranteed, it sounds like, that we are getting a trailer for Jedi Fallen Order 2. Doesn't surprise me. In fact, what is going to be very surprising is what do they release on May the 4th versus Celebration, because May the 4th is about 3 weeks before Celebration. So are they going to put anything else out there? I do think we'll get a Obi-Wan trailer on May the 4th. I was hoping we'd get some kind of announcement or trailer for the Bad Batch, but I don't think that's coming anymore, because that leads me into the Bad Batch news. Was apparently the rumor out there that it's getting moved to 2023, which is very disturbing. That really is bad. I'm not sure why they would do that, unless they just don't want to. We talked about not having 2 shows going on at once. I don't see the bad in that, but apparently they do, because sounds like Andor is getting released now in maybe late July, early August, which originally was thought to be late September, which would mean, once Obi-Wan wraps, it'd be just 2 or 3 weeks later, we'd get Andor. That makes sense to me. But I just don't understand why you couldn't have Bad Batch running at the same time. Andor, if it starts in, let's just say it starts in early August, that would run through pretty much all of October, because I believe it's 12 episodes. And then you would have your month of November, early December to promote for season 3 of Mandalorian. So yeah, I do think it sounds right that Bad Batch is probably going to get moved, which is so unfortunate. I am very much looking forward to watching Bad Batch and seeing where that's going for season 2 and all the things about the cloning that they're going to step into. So that's unfortunate, but it does seem to me that that is what's going to happen based on what it looks like to be the rollout of Obi-Wan, Andor, and then season 3 of Mandalorian. So, let's see what else news-wise. I did think about. I mentioned Mandalorian. I think I did read this, but I didn't write it in my notes. But apparently, the rumor is that he is going to Mandalore, as in Din Djarin is going to Mandalore. But I think that's expected. I mean, he pretty much said that, right? In the book of Boba Fett. So, okay. One other thing, Shadow of the Sith, which is that novel that is coming in June, that basically centers around the episode 9 storyline that gets mentioned in there between Lando and Luke when they go looking for the Wayfinder. Apparently this book is around that storyline, so the cover has just been released. Pretty cool cover. Go check that out. But the cover has been released, and that is, again, set to debut June 28th. So news-wise, I think that's everything. I kind of jumped around, but that is everything there that I thought you should know about. So now, upcoming releases on the novels front, this April 5th, which I'm just stoked about, the third book from E.K. Johnston, Queen's Hope, about Padme. And what it looks like is it's right, middle of the Clone Wars kind of storyline. We got Queen Shadow, which was her kind of episode. It was like, I think it was her, senator. It was her transition from queen to senator. And then Queen's Peril was during episode 1, roughly, leading up to episode 1, how she became queen, and then getting into episode 1. And this is, again, further down the line. Probably has Anakin in it, which is pretty cool. Can't wait for that. April 5th. Brotherhood, like I mentioned before, is May 10th. And then Shadow of the Sith, what I just talked about, June 28th. Padawan, July 26th. The Princess and the Scoundrel, which is going to be cool. I can't wait for that. Again, that's Han and Leia right after Return of the Jedi. And then you've got that coming out on August 16th. You got a couple of High Republic novels. Later in the year, Convergence on October 4th and Path of Deceit on November 1st. Comics, man, there's actually a lot of comics, I feel like, Star Wars right now. Star Wars, let's see, this next week here on March 30th, you got Bounty Hunters number 21. A week later, you got Bounty Hunters 22 on March 6th. March 13th, you can pick up Star Wars 22, Darth Vader 22. April 20th, you can get Halcyon Legacy number 3, Crimson Reign number 4. Han and Chewbacca number 2 comes out April 27th, along with Dr. Aphra number 20 and Star Wars 23. And then in May, on May the 4th, actually, you can get that Chrysanthemum comic that I was talking about, and you can get Obi-Wan Kenobi number 1. So we mentioned that he's getting his own comic line as part of, his debut in live action again on Disney Plus. And then Crimson Reign number 5, which I believe is the final book in the Crimson Reign series. That is May the 4th as well. So there you go in comics. And now that is everything there. Now I just want to get into my main topic here, which is just talking a little bit more about Obi-Wan. I thought hearing some rumors about some appearances, and of course we got the trailer that shows some Inquisitors the rumor out there right now is a familiar bounty hunter is actually going to be making an appearance. And what I mean by familiar is what I mean by that is it's one of the 6 that is in The Empire Strikes Back, where, Vader is commissioning 6 bounty hunters to go and find the Millennium Falcon. So this is, again, a rumor, so hopefully this doesn't spoil you if you don't want to know anything. Might want to fast forward just a tad. But the bounty hunter in question that's rumored to appear is not one you probably would think. I think most of us would think Bosk, right? Or actually even Boba Fett. Yeah, he's around at this point. But it's neither of those. And it's not Dengar. It is actually Forlom, which is one of the droid bounty hunters that's on that ship, along with IG-11, actually. I'm sorry, IG-88, not IG-11, IG-88. So Forlom could possibly be in Obi-Wan, apparently. Totally makes sense. Why not? There's probably bounty hunters around Tatooine still, so makes sense that he could be there. So really, I think what I wanted to really speculate on right now, because then I want to earmark this episode and see if I was right. But I'm going to kind of throw out some names that I think could possibly show up in the Obi-Wan series. This one's kind of easy because I've been screaming it for a while, is Bail Organa, which I can't remember if it was confirmed for this or for Andor, but definitely think Bail Organa is going to be in it. Jimmy Smith is going to be in this because I think I'm still on the side of the fence that says that Obi-Wan is going to leave the planet, and is going to leave the planet because Bail needs his help finding Leia or getting Leia, because Leia's been in trouble. Leia's either in trouble or she's been kidnapped or something. That's what Obi-Wan is going to be doing, is meeting up with Bail and doing that, which means Leia will probably be in it. We've already got confirmation that Luke is in it, even though it probably is just a distant shot of him. But Leia, I think, is going to be actually in it and have a speaking role, even though she's only going to be 10 years old. But heck, she's 16 when she's, a senator. So it's not far to think that at 10 she's already pretty important. And then I still have hopes, even though I don't know. I kept thinking maybe she'd show up in The Mandalorian, but that seems highly unlikely these days now, because we're not really seeing the New Republic or going into the Inner Core. But I still think Mon Mothma could show up at some point. She's obviously going to be in Andor, I believe. So it's possible she could be here, with Bail. But that's kind of a stretch, I think. So, but, I'm leaving up hope. One person that I actually hope shows up, which I think is possible too, is Andor himself, Cassian Andor, right? If Obi-Wan, when he leaves Tatooine and meets up with Bail, could be that he's meeting up with him at, a base, secret rebel base. And there could be, again, like I said, Mothma there, could be Andor, which I think would be, I think it would be pretty cool, just in the fact that it's going to be connecting that character, Diego Luna's character, that we're going to see in his own series after the Obi-Wan series, apparently. So I thought it would be a really cool way to keep these shows connected kind of subtly, right? You're not leading into it like an MCU connection, but you're at least acknowledging or kind of hinting at the next series, right? So I think that would have been pretty cool to do and to plan for all these Disney Plus series. have them kind of obviously they're in the same universe, but having them kind of intertwined or characters kind of cross over a little bit. Even if Andor is just standing there and not saying anything, they doesn't have to be a part of the show necessarily, but if he's in it, that's why I thought, and I said this a while ago when it came out, but I still think that the Star Wars stories, the movies that they were doing, Rogue One and then Solo, like even those, I felt like they needed to make connections with those. And the easiest one you could have done, I think, between Solo and Rogue One, honestly, would have been the coaxium, that Enfys Nest got from Han at the end of the movie. Could have easily had a scene after that where she's delivering some of that to Saw Gerrera, and you see a young Jyn Erso right next to Saul. That would have been an easy way to introduce or make that connection, from Rogue One to Solo. I think that would have been really cool to do, just really neat. And I think they could have done that with these Disney Plus series too, which right now they technically have, right? Mandalorian had introduced Boba Fett. Boba Fett has his own show. So Obi-Wan's the next live action show. So it'd be cool if, there was an Andor in there or Boba Fett came in. I don't think Boba Fett's going to be in it. I do think there was rumors that Commander Cody would be in it. Definitely think that's going to happen. So that's really not one of my guesses because I think that's been rumored. So I would say I'll leave hopes out that maybe they got Cassie, maybe they got Deanna Luga to kind of make an appearance. That would be pretty cool. Obviously, I think that I gotta say that I think 3PO and R2 are going to be in it. Of course, Bail gave them to Captain Antilles at the end of episode 3, and which is actually very surprising that Captain Antilles has them apparently this entire 19 years, right? But from episode 3 and episode 4, because episode 4, the Tantive V4, he has them on the ship, and Captain Antilles is the one that gets choked out by Vader after getting boarded. So apparently he does have them, and apparently he's part of Bail's, he's Alderaanian. So it's highly possible that we're going to see 3PO and R2, I believe, as well in this series. So I didn't have anybody else on my notes, but I'm kind of thinking out loud who else could possibly show up. Obviously, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru are going to be in it. So the city, one of the cities we're apparently going to be visiting, which it looks like that might be the one that's in the trailer, is Anchorhead. We've heard about Anchorhead, especially in Legends, but never seen it. So it's a major city apparently in Tatooine as well, maybe even bigger than Mos Espa, which looked even bigger when we got to it in The Mandalorian. But it's possible in Anchorhead, we can see definitely a lot of cameos in that town. Probably where we're going to see Forlom. But maybe, I don't think there's any other bounty hunters that we would see, maybe. Dengar or Bosk, I guess they could show up, but I don't think so. Since they're putting Forlom in there, that's probably it. But I'm trying to think. I don't know if anybody else. I see on the Empire side, we're already getting the Grand Inquisitor and looks like Fifth Brother. I don't know. The Emperor. Will the Emperor show up? Ooh. Ian McDermott mentioned doing something, I think. Could that? It shouldn't be Andor. I'm gonna say Ian McDermott, the Emperor. I'm gonna say Sidious Palpatine makes an appearance. Yeah. I'm going to say he's going to make that appearance too. See, that's the thing, is that it seems like with Obi-Wan, I mean, they're truly trying to make that connection, right, between episode 3 and 4, to where you can watch episode 3, watch this series, and go right into Rogue One and then 4, I guess. But so you're bringing characters back, because there's rumors that there were going to be, Maul was going to be the villain, not Vader, but they told Deborah Cho to, don't hold back. Let's get this done. So therefore Vader's in this thing. Think that by doing that, you're bringing in familiar characters now that you have Vader and Obi-Wan. So it just makes sense to try to fit in some of those classic characters as well. So definitely R2 and 3PO, but then Emperor Palpatine probably is in it too. Vader's probably going to have like a little conference with him. Probably just one scene. But that would maybe lend itself to why Ian McDermott said it's not the last you've seen of the Emperor. So I'm going to go that route. I'm going to go Emperor. I think we might see a shot of the Emperor. So I might keep thinking about that, but that's kind of where I was going with that. Guest appearances, who's going to show up? So let me know who do you think is going to show up in this thing? If there's anybody not only that you'd like to see, but actually would be part of the main storyline and interact with Obi-Wan possibly. So let me know about that. Let me get into some comments here before I close this out. Let's see, on my last episode on YouTube, Jojo Jar Jar, of course, says, I'm so hyped. That was the one we were talking about, the Kenobi trailer. Thrawn Addict, so excited for Kenobi. The teaser trailer was fantastic. Seeing Kid Luke pretending to fly in the Duel of the Fates gave me chills. It did me too, absolutely. Inquisitors look great. Star Wars Rebels, my personal favorite animated show so far. So it was great to see them. Just proves that animation matters more in mainstream canon. That's exactly right. The fact that they're bringing all these live action characters or animated characters into live action, like Saw Gerrera, Cad Bane, Black Chrysanthemum. I mean, it's great to see them do that and make it relevant for sure. And then of course Jojo mentions replies to that comment saying, yeah, little Luke gives me hope of little Leia appearing in it. So I re-listened to the podcast episode of him discussing Leia being part of the main story, though that seems unlikely given that the Inquisitors are a threat on Tatooine rather than Alderaan. I still hope she has at least a scene. Yes. I do think she's still part of the main storyline. I think what we're seeing, like a lot of things that Star Wars does as far as trailers go, I think what we've seen is only the first episode. I think that's the first episode where he gets almost discovered on there, and then something causes him to have to get off the planet. And that's possibly why he's going to Anchorhead, to find a way off planet. And then that's where he runs into the Inquisitors a little bit that track him a little bit. So that's what I think is going to happen. I see Thrawn Addict again mentions and says, congrats on the 350 episode. Thank you. Always have great content. By far my favorite podcast. Really enjoyed the deep diving into all Star Wars media, and you're always helping remember release dates on books and comics. So we'll always be grateful. You are absolutely welcome. It's comments like that keep this thing going and keep me going. So appreciate that. And of course, we'll keep updating you as much as I can. I wanted to read, let's see, I got an email also, I think. Let me see. Email. Here we go. And I've got an email from her before from Amanda here talking about the Obi-Wan trailer. She says, the Obi-Wan trailer has me hyped. Maybe I just haven't been listening to the news as close when they announced the series and the timeline. My brain kept thinking we were getting some series watching Ewan McGregor wandering around the Tatooine desert. Doesn't sound that exciting to me. At least I had faith, though, that Disney would be smarter than that. And from what they showed, I am definitely not disappointed. The inclusion of the Inquisitors has me intrigued and finally convinced my husband he needs to watch Rebels. Just the music in the trailer sent chills. It was put together very well. Definitely need to watch Rebels. Go watch it, especially because Obi-Wan actually is in Rebels at some point. I can't say I'm too into the look of the Grand Inquisitor. The issue is we've had Powans in live action in the prequel series, so we know how they should look. I have to say, the switch from having a much more gaunt, tall-headed figure to a really weirdly round one is jarring. I may not have loved Cad Bane's live action look, but I can accept it fine. This, however, just makes it seem a little more lazy on their part. I'd suspect they will cite some kind of limitations as the reason they went the route they did, but part of the cool thing in Star Wars is having such different aliens. They are pretty consistent with Rodians in live action. This Grand Inquisitor looks more like a painted-up human pretending to be Powan than anything else. This will not stop me from watching and enjoying the series, of course, just a speed bump and enjoying the goodness of Star Wars. May the Force be with you. So very true. Can't definitely argue against what you just said there because I didn't realize it was the Grand Inquisitor when I first saw the trailer, and that's because he does look very different. I was very surprised also that they didn't get that right, but again, 100% agree with you. I do think there will be some site limitation, or they'll mention that there was some kind of limitation because, hopefully there is, meaning that hopefully he's in some action sequences where he's fighting. Because if he's not, then I'm not sure how you get that wrong like that. But we'll see. But definitely agree with you. The trailer was amazing. Have your husband watch Rebels and get ready for this thing because it's going to be pretty amazing. The most anticipated thing, Star Wars thing for me. The only other most anticipated thing for me was Episode 1, Star Wars coming back to theaters. Besides that, this is number 2. Okay, so that is all I had for this episode. Thank you for listening, for watching. Appreciate it. Like I said, go check out YouTube or all the podcast feeds and get this episode as well as our other shows, Council Sessions, Beyond the Saga, Masters of the Order, and now our other one, Dark Knowledge, which again had some comments. Great episode, loving the new show. I think the rule of 2 is very flawed to everyone but Palpatine due to him maneuvering politically and wanted all power to himself, but don't see how any of the Sith were planning to take revenge with just 2 Sith. That was Thrawn Addict. Very true. Not sure. We are going to be hitting the rule of 2 on the next episode of Dark Knowledge. So be on the lookout for that coming soon. Jojo Jar Jar, of course, just says awesome show and episode for Dark Knowledge, the Sith Order. Appreciate that. That show's very fun. It's cool to talk about dark side stuff because I don't really deep dive in that stuff that much. So it's cool doing a lot of research and figuring out what to talk about and get some deep dives into the dark side there. So go check that out. Of course, again, on all podcast feeds and on YouTube, youtube.com/Inside the Force. And last but not least, I'll just mention again that we did start a Patreon. And if you want to go check that out and one day maybe give us some contributions and get some extra stuff and some extra content and extra merch, let me know what you think and get on there and sign up. Patreon.com/Inside the Force. Thanks, everybody. Again, this is our 351st episode, but our 9th anniversary. Can't say enough for those of you that I know there's actually some listeners on here. I don't know how many, maybe a few, that have been here from the beginning. And really appreciate you guys sticking around, but all the new people too, thank you. Want to keep doing more stuff for you guys, so please keep supporting the show and keep letting me know and keep talking to me, and let's keep talking and get interacting and enjoy Star Wars together. Suggestions are welcome. Let me know what can be different, or what do you think you want to hear differently. I don't know, anything. Just let me know. Doesn't matter. I'll take anything. I'll listen to anything. So let me know. Take care. Have a great weekend. Talk to you guys next week. Check out some, like I said, upcoming shows next week. I think a new Beyond the Saga will be dropping next week. And more to come very, very soon. Take care. See you next time. May the Force be with you.